So what I would like you to do is, I would like this side of the room to be Team 1 and this side Team 2. And I would like you all to pull out your best practices in communicating effectively with youth handouts. And for the folks online, you can choose which team you want to be on. Since I can't control that, I'll just have to trust you. So Team 1 and Team 2, I'm going to tell you the same story. And Team 1, I'm going to ask you to tell me the way you've seen the wrong communication practices and the wrong responses escalate a situation. And Team 2, I'm going to ask you what would be the right way to handle a situation like this and incorporate some of what you may have heard today about developmentally appropriate responses. Okay, so here's the story for all teams. This is just one I heard 2 weeks ago after we did a training in Georgia, in a city there. A young man is brought to the police station by his mother, who is livid with him and wants the law enforcement officer to arrest him. The officer who was at the scene of the incident comes back to the station, and the scene was this. The 16-year-old had driven his mother's car into a telephone pole. The back of the car was filled with groceries. He had been alone in the car. Okay. When the officer encounters the 16-year-old, he will not speak. He's silent. He stands there while his mother screams at him. And the officer says, "What's going on here?" So I'm giving both sides 2 minutes to tell me how things could lead to an outcome no one wants to see, and this side to lead to an outcome that someone wants to see, and then I'll tell you what happened in the story. So can someone say tick-tock for 120 seconds? Thank you. So it's been 2 minutes. I'd like someone on Team 1 to play the role of a police officer. How would you handle this situation? And remember, you're going to do everything here wrong. Wrong. I don't know who said wrong, but whoever said it, now you go first. We need you to say that in a microphone.
Sorry. Well, it looks like your mom wants me to arrest you, so come on, son, get up, let's go.
And the mom is yelling and yelling at you to do that, right?
Right.
Take him away. Okay, so you're going to arrest him. What are you going to charge him with?
Illegally driving his vehicle. You stole your mom's vehicle, and you ran into a light pole. You're going to jail.
Thank you so much. Okay, the next person in the system, who's likely to see him? Who's intake? I'm going to go to booking, right? I'm booking, I'm going to be charged with felony theft of a car. I guess you have a charge for poor driving, or you should. I'm from Massachusetts. We got a lot of them. He is either going to be detained or not. Are we going to detain him? Doing everything wrong here. Who's probation? What'd you say?
You doing it? Monica.
You're doing everything wrong. We're doing everything wrong. So everything wrong would be to send him back home with his mom, is what you're saying? Okay. And anyone here want to see him detained?
Oh, yeah, because I'm doing it wrong.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay.
So you're going to talk to the kid and you're going to tell him, well, you know, if you're going to keep doing this kind of stuff, you're just going to end up being in jail someday. Do you want to be in jail someday? Well, I think probably what needs to happen is we'll just have you stay overnight here and let's see how you like it.
And the kid has said nothing in response to you during this, okay?
That's right.
Never said, yes, I want to stay
Because
in
I'm
jail.
scaring him straight.
Okay, what communication approach did you use here? Would you say you threatened them or anything?
That would be definitely threats.
How were your listening skills going?
I'm not sure there were any.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, next, your defense attorney. Do we have one on this side? Okay, would someone play the role of a defense attorney? How do you open up the conversation with this young man? Anyone want to do it? Go ahead, ma'am. So why'd you do it, the defense attorney would say, okay? What else would you say as a bad defense attorney?
You need to listen to your mother.
You need to listen to your mother, okay? And how many times do you
And
ask
I'm
him?
court appointed, so I'm not, if I was paid, I might be listening more.
Okay. And would you pay any, ask him why he did it?
Yeah, I would ask him why he did it. I'm assuming he did it
Mm-hmm.
right off the bat, and I might ask him why he did it.
Are
But
you going to tell him to admit and move on?
yes, yeah, the
Thank you.
fast way to get this over with, just say you did it, and we'll get you on probation. And
Okay. District Attorney, anyone on this side want to be a DA? Sir, Roger, I'm exploiting you since you tell me you were one. What are you going to do to this kid wrong? Roger's behind you.
I always play the hard ball. Prosecutor, that's easy role. Nobody else likes to play it. So
Yeah.
I'll tell him you're one step away from YRTC, and you don't straighten up and listen to your mother. We'll find some other place for you to go live.
Okay, and who wants to play the juvenile court judge, please? You don't have to be one. If there's no one here, you could just imitate one. Oh, great, thank you.
You are a threat to the community, and you're going to stay in detention until you've learned your lesson.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, some excellent actors here. Thank you very much. Team 2. All right, who wants to play the role of the police officer? Someone raise their hand, please, so we can get you a microphone. Remember, you're doing this right, so please look at the communicating effectively with youth and the best practices handout.
Well, like she said, I don't have any cookies on me right at the moment at the police station. However, my first thing would probably be to separate the parent and the child so the child doesn't have to listen to his mom berate him any longer. And then kind of help de-escalate. Also, if he's completely shut down, then I would make some sort of comment about his mother being extremely upset, and that I'm sure he didn't mean to do it, so I would try and empathize, but I need to give him some time, so I'm gonna say, I need you to just relax, be you for a minute, I'm gonna go talk to your mom, but when I come back, would you be willing to tell me your side of the story and what really happened, or tell me what you see from your perspective? So you're trying to empathize, listen, but you also need to give him a little power and save face back to him as a teen.
Okay, so if you do want to work as a police officer, call me. Let's just restate and emphasize everything our colleague did well here. She gave him time. She distracted him. She pulled him away from his mother. She perceived that there might be another side to the story, right? Did this harm you in any way doing this? Did this harm you to take this step?
Take time.
Thank you. Okay, the next person, we're going to the booking, and what did you learn from this kid? Can you imagine? So that the booking officer knows how to charge them?
He's probably going to tell me his life story about his mother. And that she's not that great, is what I'm assuming. He's a product of his environment many times, or he might be a product of something. And so it's kind of like you said before, you have to have him, give him a little bit of future, a little bit of power back for his own, a little save face. And I even sometimes, this is much worse, but in my situation, I'll say, now that you've relaxed a little bit from your perspective, what do you think we should see happen, or what do you think should happen? What would be realistic? I would offer that, not that it's going to happen, but at least they feel like they have some sort of choice in where their future's headed.
The key issue of giving control is so important in an adolescent trusting you as an adult. Am I right? You're coming closer to some parity instead of a hierarchical relationship. So I think what I'm going to do now is tell you what the kid said to this officer in Georgia. He said, my mother takes food stamps and plays the slot machines in Georgia. They're all over the place, every grocery store and everywhere else. and she spends down all the food. And I took them out of her purse and went grocery shopping, which is why there are all those groceries in the back of the car. And on my way back, she was calling me on the phone, screaming at me, and I lost control and hit the light pole, the phone pole. Okay, now what are you going to do with the booking officer? Yep, you're still the police officer. You're going to have to tell the booking officer.
What's going on, I make some sort of decision. I'm going to have to talk to somebody, but we're going to look at the situation at hand and say, what are we really going to do here? How can we fix this? And I would
Okay.
use my partners in crime and reach out for an agency or hopefully a solution we could kind of help with this situation.
Now, you see, we're going to use a different trajectory. We just got through court real quickly here. We're going to slow this down a bit, right? Because we dug. We didn't just respond and react to the kid. We didn't act like adolescents just reacting. Instead, we dug and explored. So who's going to be the sergeant of this officer? Thank you for volunteering someone, or else I'll volunteer you. I'm just threatening. You, sir, thank you so much. You're standing near a microphone, too. What are you going to do as the supervisor of this officer?
Well, I suppose we better get the details of what actually happened and maybe talk about some resources in the community that we can refer that situation to and people that we can bring in that might have more expertise in what we really need to deal with and not the law side of it.
So you're not going to arrest this criminal?
No.
Hug-a-thuggers. Okay, hugger-thuggers. Hug-a-thugs, there we go. Sorry, I can't even get my idioms straight. What would have, let's think this through. If you had arrested him, if you had done this system, how would he have felt about adults, the system, his mother, police, judges? Anyone want to shout out some thoughts? Betrayed, someone said? He was just trying to do the right thing. It was a good intention gone awry. He wouldn't trust the system. One other thought. Any other thought? Where would he have looked for help the next time? From adults? From peers? And we wonder why peer groups are so strong. Well, what are a kid's options, right? So I don't know if any of you have seen a case like this. Has anyone seen something like this happen or been a defense attorney and suddenly realized the backstory? Or suddenly been a person in the detention story hearing the backstory and said, oh my God, I just arrested distress. To what end? What did I succeed in changing here? And again, this goes back, I can't thank Commissioner Blumstead enough for keeping harping on this question is, what is our philosophy here? And if our first response is punishment, we're doing fine. If our first response is, let's see if we can prevent this from happening again, we're doing better with this approach. Not rocket science, nothing new, but worthy of considering all the time. Okay, I am now going to ask you to pretend you are the officers and social worker right on the scene with this situation, which happened in Kansas. And someone said they were from Kansas, right? You said that, right? So maybe this happened in your city. This was told to me by a judge 2 years ago. A judge said, oh my God, I thought we were gonna have a a Michael Brown case. A parent calls the police station and says, I think my sons are having a party in the backyard. I can't go home, I'm at work. It's like 9 or 10 o'clock. And they said, ma'am, if no one's complaining, there's nothing we can do about it. It's your property, they're allowed to. She calls back half an hour later, it's darker, and she said, I think someone brought a gun to this party. So the officers zip over, and the kids hear, one is 15 and one is 18, hear the sirens, and the 15-year-old runs away from the party. And when the officers get to the party, they're told the 15-year-old has run down the street and he does have a gun. So the 15-year-old is running away from the officers who are shooting at him. And he stops running and shoots the gun up into the sky until all the bullets are out. leans down, puts the gun on the ground, and puts his hands up, okay? I want one of you to tell me how a police officer who had their strategies for youth on and did not have their heart beating out of their mind would understand what the young person just did. How would you interpret that? He was emptying the clip. Yep.
So many years for how many bullets are in a gun.
So you said he was emptying the clip because he knows that you get more years on your punishment for every bullet you have in your gun. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Anyone else have a theory of why he did what he did? Everyone agree with this theory? So this other colleague of ours said it's so that the officers would know there were no bullets in the gun and the officers would not shoot at him. Okay? So you're both correct. He didn't want to get an enhanced sentence for having a loaded gun with 8 bullets in it, and he also didn't want the officers to be worried. Did he think about where the bullets were going to fall? No, because when you shoot them up in the sky, they stay there. Isn't that what they mean by seeding clouds? So it causes rain or something? How would you respond to an officer who said he knew what he was doing? What would be your response? He knew enough that it was illegal to have bullets in his gun, so he emptied it. He shot it up into the air, and then he very calmly put it down and put his hands up. How would you respond to the charge that he knew what he was doing? How about some lawyers here? What would you argue one way or the other as the district attorney or as the defense attorney? You can see how difficult this case is, right? Because this is a perfect reflection of an adolescent who is in some ways quite rational, understanding that there are legal consequences for every bullet, quite irrational for thinking that's the way to remove those consequences or to disassociate yourself from bullets. And I'm not saying I have an answer here, and that judge didn't want to tell me what he did in the way of an outcome for the youth, but this is a story I'm telling you to demonstrate the complexity of dealing with this age group and why you need special skills to do it. And I'm not sure any of us should be in a position to say right or wrong for an outcome with that kid, but I do want to use it to demonstrate how hard this is and what a difficult time of life it is for kids. Any thoughts, responses?